Right. So as legacy goes one direction, crypto can be like, well, now that we're free to move about the cabin, because Elon Musk said, you are now free to build. Like as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, this market is going to the moon. DeFi exploded as soon as he said that.
Right.
So the market's free to innovate. Other forms of money, other payment systems. It's like, there's kind of no limit.
So do you think people are too quick to celebrate BlackRock's involvement? Because, a lot of people just care about pumping their bags, right? And so they see this as A causes B, which is bag pump. But do you think, I know some more like OG Bitcoiners who are more like just the old school libertarians and like punks per se, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, well, what happened to all the self-custody and like permissionless finance and things like that? Now you're just getting your Bitcoin through a centralized entity, BlackRock. So what are your thoughts on that whole kind of complaint per se?
Right.
Or warning, rather.
Right. So, so crypto bros thinking that BlackRock is here to pump your bags is essentially your classic pea-brained crypto Twitter stuff. It's absolutely not true. Like BlackRock is there, to dominate. Now, there is a positive side to that in the sense that, the cyberpunks want they want all these things. They want self-custody, but they never developed anything. Snowden will tell you this. They never developed a privacy layer on Bitcoin. They didn't do the development that you would have needed to do to make Bitcoin something, the super rebellious cyber coin.
So that just shows you the importance of both the network effect, which is a given, but if you really want to set yourself apart, you need to create that flywheel effect community. You need to have that. So how does it show itself? How are you really showing that you have that flywheel effect? You are addressing these 4 major challenges. And to have a flywheel effect, those challenges need to be addressed within your own ecosystem without any external forces helping you, assisting you. That's how it works. Keep it at home. Solve your business. Handle your business at home. Don't go outside for your business to be handled. That's the whole idea. And to do that, you need to address these 4 challenges within your mechanisms, tokenomics, smart contracts, ecosystem. Do it within. So now that we've discussed that community, now that we've identified that, let's now really bring this point home. Keep in mind, today's session is, what is flywheel effect? What is network effect? Can they coexist? What impact do they have to us in our industry, in our ecosystem? We defined them. We made examples. But to really underscore and bring this point home even further, bear with me. I have to share with you this love story. So there was this couple, and they knew each other from childhood, very early on. Both came from a very broken home. And one thing they knew, that once they become older, they're adults, they never want to live the life they had. So they made promises to each other. These promises were very deep. So they promised each other that first things first, they'll do life together, right? They'll always stick together. And the only way it will work, the requirement is they have to stick together. And then beyond that, they said, because we grew up with scarcity, let's build an empire together. And to ensure that that empire will last, we can't be wasteful. So how can we build an empire and ensure that we're not wasteful? Well, let's put some money aside. Let's ensure that we put money aside. Each time something comes in, let's put it aside. Besides all those 3 things, most importantly, let's always inform and educate ourselves to remain on top of our industry, to be up to date in regards to our business, how we can scale, how we can better ourselves. Let's learn more about investment, on savings, and how we can better ourselves. We want to be better than how we grew up. That was the deep promise that they made each other. They came from a broken home, and they never wanted to relive that life as adults. As they were growing older, growing into young adults, years passed by. And unfortunately, all those dreams, ambitions, and desires never capitalized. And the realities of life kicked in. They became the products of the environment. As they looked around, everybody seems to be struggling and going through the same troubles. And unfortunately, those dreams remained mere dreams. And that wasn't even the worst part. There came a point now that they were so frustrated that they started going outside of the relationship. Most importantly, one partner. So, and not only just with a single person, but with 4 different individuals. Lucky for you, I happen to know the names of the individuals as well. So let's go through the individuals' names. So the very first one was, of course, your classic description, tall, dark, and handsome, right? And his name was JP Morgan. Now, this young fella had all the money in the world. They had all the funds in the world. And whenever she needed some funds, she ran to this young gentleman called JP Morgan. So the second one, this individual was extremely influential and had so much power. And this individual's name was BlackRock. So whenever she needed to get things done, things accomplished, she needed some influence, she ran over to this other lover known as BlackRock. Now, this third individual is very remarkable. And he's so remarkable, they even gave him a nickname, Custodian. But his real name is Coinbase. He had the most amazing mansion ever seen. He had the biggest house, the most beautiful home you'll ever see. So beautiful that men wanted to have a house like that and women wanted to live there. That's how beautiful it was. So whenever she just wanted to break out and just feel at home and have a home, because if you give a woman a house, she will make it a home, right? So she went to Coinbase to at least have a home to herself. Now, let's get to this fourth individual. This fourth individual didn't have the money of JP Morgan, didn't have the connections and power and influence of BlackRock, and didn't have that type of mansion of Coinbase. However, they were very resourceful and they knew how to get it. And they were the voice of reasoning. They were the wisdom, they were the knowledge, they were the understanding. So whenever she just wanted to be heard, whenever she just sought that voice of reasoning, she ran to wisdom. So community, what are we saying here? Well, Steve, what has this to do with crypto? Well, what we're saying here, community, is that now that we've identified the names of her lover, aren't we curious about the names of herself and him? Well, let's start with her name. The young queen's name was, she has a nickname, Queen Bee, but her full name is Bitcoin. And his name is Rai, R-I, retail investor. So the promises that they made each other was that you'll be, first of all, you'll be your own bank. But that was broken. So she wasn't her own bank. So she had to go to her lover, JP Morgan, because that was the bank. The second promise that was made, that you'll have dominion over your own wallet. You make decisions, you'll influence it however you want. That was broken. Now she had to go to BlackRock, because BlackRock was the gentleman with all the influence and the power. The third promise was, you'll be your own custodian. You'll have control over your own funds. You'll be the custodian. Well, that wasn't the case either. That promise was broken. So she had to go to Coinbase. That was the only mansion and house that she could make a home, right? And then finally, the knowledge, the efficiency that actually connects all these three together is the voice of reasoning, that efficiency factor. That without this voice of reasoning, knowledge, understanding, and efficiency and sustainability, these three cannot function. So retail investor and Bitcoin, they broke their promises. That's how the promises were broken, and they never made it. And Queen Bee, full name is Bitcoin, had to belong to the streets, Wall Street. So what's the moral of the story, community? If you don't want your queen to belong to the streets, you have to meet her needs. You have to take care of her. Let's zoom in and bring this point home. The reason why we stress on addressing these 4 challenges so much is because we are meeting the needs of our queen. She belongs to us, not to the streets. We made promises to her that she'll be her own bank, that she'll make decisions of her own, that she'll be her own custodian, and that will give her all the information and education she needs to make rational decisions in this otherwise very sentiment and emotional industry. So if you can't keep that, your woman, your queen will belong to the streets, like Bitcoin belongs to Wall Street now. Do you want that? Obviously not. So take care of the needs of your queen. If we zoom in and bring it home, how does that relate to our ecosystem? We are addressing these 4 challenges: lack of liquidity, inflation, unsustainable staking distributions, inefficient use of volume. Why are we doing that? We are taking care of the needs of our queen. If we don't, she will go out to the streets and seek others outside of her home to fulfill her needs, just like Bitcoin had to just get out and do that. So we are taking care of business. We are taking responsibility, and we are taking care of our queen to ensure that she feels at home. She's her own bank. She makes decisions of her own wallet. She is her own custodian, and she's informed, educated enough to make rational decisions. We take care of business so that our queen is loyal to us and remains with us and doesn't belong to the streets like Bitcoin belongs to the Wall Street. Of course, this story is fictional, but it brings the point home. If we never understood the importance of addressing your challenges, taking care of business, and the symbolism here is that these 4 challenges, addressing them, that's the bond of the flywheel effect. That's the flywheel effect, community. So now that we're addressing the flywheel effect by addressing these 4 challenges, our ecosystem is efficient and sustainable. And we keep our promise we made to our queen back then. We keep our promise so she doesn't have to go out and meet her needs somewhere else. That's the moral of the story, community. Every ecosystem needs to take care of their queen. And obviously, Bitcoin and retail investors, they couldn't keep up their promises to each other. This is why she had to go. Bitcoin had to go to JP Morgan, BlackRock, Coinbase, and so on and so forth. So let's learn from that mistake. Let's not do that same mistake. Let's take care of our business, kings. Let's take care of our queens, kings. So that's the moral of the story. And I believe the point came across. Of course, like I said, it's fictional, but nonetheless, it makes the point that whenever you see us addressing or stressing on addressing these 4 challenges, all we're doing is taking care of our queen.